Okay, so we're going through the VJC 2021 paper. So it's question number 2. Okay, it's a promo paper. So you can download it off the cohort website. Okay, so this question begins with a preamble, right? And then they ask you how market failure arises in the consumption of healthcare services. So this is a 10 mark question, right? So 10 mark has an R1 and an R2, right? So you make sure you take note that there's no evaluation needed for a 10 mark essay question. Okay, so they ask you how market failure arises. They're not very explicit that they need 2 requirements, but you should know that they need 2. So the first one would be the first requirement would be the first market failure and then the second one would be the second market failure. Okay, then we can go about trying to find out what the market failure is. So this is the healthcare market. If you can't think of any, actually, if you see healthcare, instantly you should know of 2 market failures. But if let's say you cannot, right, or you want to include some quotes on the preamble inside, the first way you can do is just read the preamble closely and then see whether you can find anything or not. Okay, so the first one they mentioned, is this. They said it focuses on there's a focus on preventive healthcare to reduce the likelihood of future complications. Yeah, so this one should tell you the first one, which is there's imperfect information, specifically consumer ignorance. Okay, consumer ignorance means you don't know what's good for yourself. This is the MPB perceived versus MPB actual market failure. Okay, the second one, it's not very clear in the preamble, but they mention something about ensuring your economic vibrancy. So this one is actually there's positive externalities. Okay, positive externality is the one that affects third parties, but in this case, it's a third party benefit. Okay, so let's begin. There are 2 requirements I want to mention. Explain one source of market failure, and then explain the other source of market failure. Okay, so I mentioned the first one is imperfect information, the second one is positive externalities. Okay, so let's begin explaining imperfect information. Okay, so when you want to explain imperfect information, the first thing you want to do is to tell people what the market failure is. So we be very explicit about that. So that's why I start with this. Okay, so when you write your essay, you just want to be explicit about the market failure. So don't leave the examiner in any doubt about what you're talking about. So just go for it and you just tell them which is the type of market failure you're talking about, which is imperfect information. And in this case, they are ignorant about the long-term gains of healthcare. Okay, so usually I do in a couple of steps. So I don't know whether you remember, but I would start off with diagram first. Then after I'll follow lines, points, and outcome. So this is what I would do for the remainder of the slides. Okay, we draw a diagram first, then we do lines, points, outcome. Okay, so that we can start with the diagram first. So for the diagram, let's draw it red. Okay, so we have an x and y axis. All right, so this is quantity, no difference. This is price, benefits, and cost. Okay, so you careful with the label. Right, and then we have so this is imperfect information. So then there are imperfect information means there are 2 downward sloping lines. This one don't think one. Imperfect information means there's 2 downward sloping. So we got 2 downward sloping lines. Then we got to put one is MPB perceived and the other one is MPB actual. Okay, so this is healthcare. Healthcare is more awesome than what people think it is. Right, so MPB actual should be on top. Should be more awesome than what people think it is, right? So the benefit should be more than what people think it is. So what people think it is should be here. Okay, and this is MPC, and it's equals to MSC. Okay, so consumers consume, they make decisions based on perceived information. So that's here. Let's call this QP. Just mark out PP here. This is your Q star, and this is your P star. Okay, so after you also want to make sure you draw the debit loss, right? So so first thing you want to do is, I guess I should put in orange. So you want to be careful. So if you label this one wrongly, we are done already. Okay, So be very careful which one is actual, which one is perceived. And then cost is upward sloping, benefits are downward sloping. Okay, so then last one I want to say is the deadweight loss is a triangle pointing to the point that you want. So the point that you want is here. So the deadweight loss points to the point that you want. That's area A, B, and C. Okay, so this is your deadweight loss. Okay, so we begin. So I mentioned to you that I'm going to use lines, points, and outcome to explain to you. So that's how I've been teaching it. So that's how we'll do it here. So we start with the lines first. So lines means you got to tell me, hey, how come the MPB actual is here and then MPB perceive is here? You got to tell me why lah. Okay, so something like this. So you got to tell me what so or okay. So the way I do it is so I think let's go through bullet by bullet. So there's underestimation. So private benefit is lower than the actual benefit. Okay. And the way I get people to explain is to just tell me what the benefits of healthcare are. So to elaborate, explain what the benefits are. So you want to tell me why people misunderstand the benefits, you just tell me what the benefits are lah. So what the benefits are. Okay, so then for this case, it means you avoid the treatment or avoid health complications in the future. Okay, so this is so this is lines here. Just make it you see it clearly. The lines here. Then you want to go into the points. So there are two main points here, right? There's point C and then there's point B. So we'll explain point C first, right? Point C happens because people make decisions based on perceived information. So we will explain that, which is here. Okay. But then the awesome point is point B. Right, it is awesome because it's where MSC equals MSB, right? So let me put this equals MSB here. Alright, so that's here. Okay, so this is the points right here. Okay, so lines and points, 2 points. Explain this point and then explain this point over here. Okay, then we go into the outcome. So this is the outcome: lines, points, and outcome. So the outcome is that firstly there's underconsumption, right? People are supposed to consume Q star, but then they consume QP instead. Okay, so they use Q, but you can change it to QP now. Okay, I may have changed this to Q so it's easier. Okay, so Q. So what happens if there's underconsumption? It means that for every unit from Q star to Q, the total benefits is more than total cost, right? So where is this? So there's an area, deadweight loss of area M. So let's label deadweight loss first. So let's area M is here. This is area M, right? But then your total benefits is area M plus, maybe let's call this N. So your N is this area over here. N. Right, so your total benefits is M plus N. Your total cost is only N. So why are you not consuming more when your benefits are more than your cost? If you don't do so, you get a deadweight loss of area M right here. So you want to make sure that you explain the deadweight loss. Okay, so we start out with diagram. Alright, then you go into lines, points, outcome. Okay, this will help you hit the basics.